Thanks for tuning in to Written on the Edge, Season 7, Episode 52. In this week's episode, we'll be celebrating the end of this year, closing it out. That's right. We'll be reviewing The Christmas House 2 with guest reviewer MD New.
Ta-da!
And we're going to give a couple honorable mentions to films that we've seen that we just didn't get to review this holiday season. And then we're going to close the episode out with a big bang and an announcement about next year. So stay tuned.
Mm-hmm.
I know, right?
Dun, dun, dun.
Da, 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 da.
That's only a little bit ominous.
Nah, not really. It's us. We're about as ominous as pudding.
We make big stuff out of little things.
So no plans to take over the world this year?
Nope.
No. Are you kidding?
So
Who has the energy? That's where I am.
me. So, Baz, Christmas House 2 is your choice. Tell us about it.
Well, okay. Let me bring up my notes. Okay, so this is a continuation of like a series. I don't know if they're doing a trilogy or if it's just a one-off, two-off kind of thing, but it is The Christmas House 2, Deck Those Halls. It is a continuation of the Mitchell family from the previous movie that came out the year before. This was released actually last year in 2021. And it's a Hallmark movie. This one is the Mitchell brothers compete to see who can create the better Christmas house. So there is a family tradition in the Mitchells that it started out with the parents just doing it to get the boys in a Christmas mood. They started with one room, expanded it to multi-rooms. Eventually the whole house was then done up and it became a neighborhood thing. So in this case, it's kind of turned on its head in that I don't know if she's the publicist or who she is, but she's kind of connected to the younger brother, who is a TV star. And he is kind of the one who kind of continued the family Christmas thing of trying to keep up the Christmas house tradition because his parents have kind of retired from it. And so he's now the person who does that thing. Well, his personal assistant gets him hooked into a show that evidently is a big thing in their universe. And there's like this Martha Stewart / Megyn Kelly / whatever that comes and does this like judging of Christmas houses and decides who's the winner. Okay, so the stage is set that it's actually supposed to be a family thing where they're all going to do it and they're going to have this competition. And then somehow it turns out that it's actually brother against brother with the parents' house. And right next door is where his younger brother lives. And this younger brother's played by Rear. And his older brother played by Jonathan Bennett. Brandon, he's like a baker and he's out and he's proud and he has a husband and they now have kids. And so they're growing their family. And so all of that gets kind of thrown into the mix. And in this one, we get a little bit more of the brothers' personal lives and how each one, and basically what I found really comforting about this particular movie was that it dove into the complexity of family and how families are not neat and super clean. Shit is messy and it takes more than bounty towels to clean it up. Yeah, that's where I'm going to go with it. What did you guys think?
I'm going to give Hallmark a hell of a lot of credit in telling our stories. And here's why. This is our second one of these this year. And again, it was Jonathan Bennett's character, but he had a 5-minute segment where he was explaining why things are very hard for gay people that shouldn't be. And in this case, he was talking about raising his children and being under a microscope. And he told his husband flat out, he's like, we are judged so much more harshly than straight people just for being who we are. And it was just a small little 5-minute conversation, but God damn it, Hallmark did it again. They were willing to, one, have a world where being gay was just normal. They were part of the family. Nobody had an issue with it, but they didn't ignore how we got there. Yes. Wow. I hate to admit it, but I cried at a Hallmark movie.
Marvin?
Yeah, I agree with what you guys said. They really hit the nail on the head. And it was just a quick little scene, and it
Mm-hmm.
didn't. It was the typical cheesy, lovely Christmas movie that one would expect, but just with that 1 minute or 2 minutes of whatever it was dialogue
Yeah,
of
between the
just
husbands.
him, Jonathan Bennett, right?
Mm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
him saying, him explaining, just like Vance said, that we're under a microscope. You have kids, you're under a microscope because all of a sudden everybody's watching you and they're waiting for you to mess up. And it
Right.
was it was perfect. And I did
Mm-hmm.
love the interplay between the two brothers,
Yes.
because I really believed, even though that they aren't, that they were brothers and they had that history together and just knew how to push each other's buttons. And yeah, they did a fantastic job, and the parents let them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the parents knew when to step in and when to back out and just be like, okay, you guys have got to figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
But I also liked that it was that there was a balance, that the younger brother, who is the star, who's the movie, the TV star, and that he had his own drama to deal with, and that there was the combination of family that is already in existence, and you're trying to step into that world and having to deal with exes, and and then the shadow of that ex suddenly arriving, wanting to insert themselves into family life. And
Mhm.
so you had this level of complexity that I kind of liked, that they just didn't say, oh well, you're straight and you have no problems. They
Yeah,
gave them context as well. And so the only thing, there's two things that piss me off about this movie, and these are my only downsides to it. One, the mother and father at one point decide that they're out for the whole competition and they're going to go have brunch. And what do they have? Untoasted sliced bagels. Girl, you could have had that in the kitchen. Okay. That's not a brunch. Craft services, whoever decided to do that moment, you needed to do better. You needed to step up your game. The continuity, little things like that really tick me off when somebody's not paying attention. So that ticked me off. And then the other thing was, I don't know. I kind of, if I were the younger brother, I would have kicked my personal assistant's ass for putting such a fucking wrench into my family's Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I would have just said, girl, if you want to keep your job, you'll step off.
Mm-hmm.
Because that, she just was making it so much worse. And it was all for, I'm like, you know, my family drama is not your career, you know? And I think that that was the only other thing that that kind of was the thorn in my side. And I get that they're trying to create some kind of drama, some kind of catalyst for all this to happen. But at the same time, I just think they could have handled it better. And can I just say, when they did the little uh where the TV star um son was trying to run lines with the father, and they were doing lines from this play, I wanted to see the play. Because those lines were really sketchy.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I really kind of wanted to see the play too. I was like, okay,
I'm
I'm like,
like, all the gays would come to that play.
Yeah.
yep, yep. But Baz, I actually have a question for you, and I thought either one of you would pick this up, and maybe it was just me. But the big continuity error that I noticed, the location wasn't the same.
Yeah.
Both houses were different. I mean, completely different. They weren't even similar in looks, and neither was the street that they were on. And I was like, I wonder if anybody's going to notice that. So I was kind
Yeah.
of surprised. I mean, I forgive it, of course, but it was just one of those things where it was like, I don't know about this. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
even
Then and
and
my husband's only comment was, "There's snow, but no one's breath can be seen. There's no cold. What?
Mm-hmm.
What?"
yeah.
So yeah.
Well, the one thing I was curious about, and that I noticed as well, and I thought that I thought that they did a really good job with it, was, and this goes against what Baz you were just saying, is the production team or the production manager or whomever Kevin's assistant was, or the producer, whatever. I thought they knew exactly what they were doing because that's what those people do for reality shows. They try
Sure.
and stir up as much drama as possible. So I thought that was a really accurate depiction of what would
I
go
just
on
think that
in a.
the younger brother should have stepped up and said girl. And he kind of did at one point, but I just think that they kind of rode that element a little too hard.
Mm, fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of wrote it as a snowball. First, it was just supposed to be a celebrity versus celebrity. Then it got twisted into brother versus brother. She kept finding ways to make it bigger. Yes. Again, that's what I expected her character to do. I mean, she lived up to what I expected she would do the entire time. But
Hmm.
you're right. I think he should have probably pulled her aside at one point and said, you know what? I'm not going to work with you in the future if you keep messing with my family.
Yeah, yeah,
Because,
that was, yeah, he could have definitely done a bit more on that. I think but I also kind of think that ties in a bit with his character.
yeah. Yeah, he wasn't the most in charge of his own destiny.
Right.
Hmm. But I will give him props for his how he dealt with the father
Yes.
and his stepson, I guess,
Hmm.
kind of quasi stepson. I thought that was handled really, really well.
Yeah, agreed. I do agree. All right. Anything else?
No, I think that's about it.
All right.
Nope, not for me.
I just kept looking for some little tie-in to his past career on iZombie. I wanted like a little zombie ornament or something.
Right, right. Yeah, a little something. Yeah.
Okay, wait, who was on iZombie? Now I'm curious.
The younger brother, the actor Buckley,
Yeah, the actor.
he played a character named Major in iZombie.
Oh, that's who he was.
Yes.
I thought that he was okay. This is so stupid. I thought he was from This Is Us,
I didn't
but
see it, so
but I
I
don't
don't
think he
know.
is. Now that you said that, he's like, oh yeah, he was Major. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And I kept looking for some like a zombie ornament, just a little throwaway thing.
Yeah, just a little Easter egg.
Just a
A little
nod.
Easter egg in Christmas.
Mm, a little Christmas egg. Boop.
Yeah, why not?
All right, so I'll give my numbers just because they're nice and easy. I gave it fours across the board. There were a couple of problems. It was overall mostly enjoyable, but really, Hallmark has got the movies down. I mean, like I said, they've included us in the world, and they're willing to admit to we're how we got here, and still tell the story. So kudos, fours across the board. I've already recommended this one to family. Marvin?
Yeah, I agree. I am fours across the board. However, I did bump it up for what did I bump it up for? I bumped it up for sound and lighting, which I really liked. I thought that they,
Hmm.
despite the few production things, I really liked that. I thought the overall look of everything was beautiful. So I really kind of bumped those up, not to fives because, like I said, we could, you couldn't see the breath and everything like that. But I thought they nailed the look. So those were 4.5s for me. And that's only because in the first one, you could tell the production quality was less or they had less of a budget. And in this one, they definitely got a much larger budget. So, and it showed. It really showed. So yeah, that was it for me.
Bez?
I'm going to do fours across the board as well. Um, just because I think that in a way, this one did carry the torch forward. Before, the first one was kind of more on the competition side or the whole decorating side of it, and this one they kind of touched on in the beginning, but it went deeper. So I thought
Hmm.
it was a good step forward in that you got more out of this one, and it was a continuation that went somewhere. The only other thing that I will knock it for, and it's not necessarily going to affect my rating, but they had made this big deal about the ex being inserting himself into like the whole thing, and then they kind of neatly just wrapped it up and said, oh, you know what, you're part of the family, da 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 da. And I thought that was kind of sloppily done. It could have been a little bit more meted out over time with just little tiny things that they could have done. So that's the only other thing I'll knock it for, but it doesn't affect my rating. I'm still going to do fours across the board.
Maybe
Nice.
they'll address it in the third one if they do a third one.
Mm.
Trilogy.
Dun, dun, dun.
The gay triptych.
All right.
Oh, now I
As
kind of
I,
want that to be a thing.
of course you do. So I did sort of tease in the opener that I was going to drop some honorable mentions of other films to go watch this year. My four, Single All the Way, which I know we had a review of last year from 2021. Very heartwarming. Go watch it. Also 2021, With Love, which was Prime's series, and though the main character wasn't gay, her brother Jorge was. From 2020, I've got The Christmas Setup, which was a Lifetime network, but the actors were actually real husbands in real life. And Dashing in December, which is also a ranch story with two men, but since we had done the lesbians at the opening of the month, I didn't want to do two ranches. So those are my honorable mentions of other holiday films you should go watch. Do either of you want to add to that list?
Yeah,
Sure,
I have some.
I've got a list.
You go ahead, Marvin. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Baz, you can jump in, or I can go. I'm fine.
No, just
So,
go.
so I went. I did it. I kind of took a walk down memory lane, and I looked at where they started and where we've come. So back in 1999, back in the olden times, probably before most people were ever born, was a gay holiday movie called 24 Nights, and it was a valid attempt at doing an LGBTQ holiday movie, and it's just a great movie to watch in contrast to what we see these days, so you can see kind of how where it started and where we are now, and just the difference that it makes. Um, then we jump all the way to now, where I really liked Make the Yuletide Gay, which was 2009, which, again, it's a great one to just go back and look and go, wow, this is where we were and this is where we are now, and the stories that we're able to tell. And then I really liked Mary and Gay, which was one that we had talked about, um, that just came out this year, and it's a two lesbians. Well, actually, I'm not sure if she's a lesbian. She's a
Does
non.
she know she's a lesbian?
Well, no, she's. I think she's non-binary or
Oh,
self-identifies
okay.
as they them.
Yeah, that's what
But
I
I
got
really
out of it.
liked that story, and I thought it was very reminiscent of some of the first movies that I mentioned from like 1999 and 2009, where you can kind of see they're starting to be more inclusive, and what those movies look like even now. And then I'm going to go with one that Vance already mentioned, which was Single All the Way. I really enjoyed that, and that was from 2021, and I thought that was a lot of fun.
Excellent. Well, I actually found somebody had posted a list, and I thought it was kind of a groovy little list to keep. So here's one for 2022 that I found online. Some of them are ones that we've already touched on, and a couple are ones that we've already reviewed. But I'll gotta read them off anyway. So the Holiday Sitter, which we just did, and I'll put a link up for that episode. Christmas to Treasure, which actually has Taylor Fry and his husband, who plays his romantic interest. It was released, I think, last year or the year before, and it deals with a couple of friends who eventually come back together and realize they're really meant for each other. They like knew each other when they were in high school back in the day and stuff. So it's kind of an interesting little story, but I thought the nice element about it was that it was played by husbands in real life that played the love interest. So I thought that was kind of cool. So it's called Christmas to Treasure. Mary and Gay. Spoiler alert, which actually had just been released, and it's sort of a tearjerker, but it's a true story based on Michael Ausiello's novel The Hero Dies in the End, which is a novel adaptation. And since we're a writerly sort of podcast, I kind of wanted to give that one a mention, even though it's not necessarily a big happy cheer. It's kind of a bittersweet kind of story. Some Kind of Christmas, Christmas on the Farm, The Unattainably Perfectly Gay Christmas, Scrooge and Marley, which evidently was released this year, and we should have probably taken a look at that. The Christmas House 1 and 2, The Bitch Who Stole Christmas, which is with RuPaul,
As the Grinch.
Dashing, Dashing in December, Single All the Way, and The Christmas Setup. So that's the list that I have. So
Very
check
Can
nice.
any
I
of
just
those out.
and can I just add that Dashing in December was absolutely wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I
Yeah.
think it had more to do with the actors than maybe the story, but still,
Yeah,
it
they
was
were
just
pretty.
so so pretty. So
Yeah.
worth watching just for that alone.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the nice thing is we have now a selection.
Yes, we do.
We
And
do.
that ties into one of my big announcements. Queer storytelling has reached a point where we have so much to choose from that we can actually start to do theme months with our reviews, as we have done at the end of this year. So, kicking off January, we're going to start a science fiction month.
Ooh.
Guest reviewer Albert Nothlet will be joining us.
Yes.
And we will roll out the rest of the themes as the year goes along, but we actually have enough material to pull from media wise that we can review, enough queer cinema to actually pull together theme months.
Exactly. Exactly. Um,
Nice.
so one of the other things I also want to mention is, or I wanted to bring up since we're talking about reviews and stuff. So I don't know if people remember, but on our show back in August, we teased something that was very special for Vance, but we couldn't talk about it. And we said we would come back to it at the end of the year. So I did not want to forget it. And since we're talking about reviews and we're talking about movies and we're all in that world, I kind of want Vance to let everyone know what it was that we were so giddy about back in August that now he can say something. So Vance, what did we tease that you couldn't say that you can say now?
You're making such a big deal of this. I was on the nomination committee for the SAG Awards television shows, which meant I got to be a queer voice to actually put forth shows for the membership to vote on for the SAG Awards.
Oh,
I think
nice.
that's a big deal.
Yeah, that's pretty
It
cool.
was a lot of fun. I got to see a lot of material, though. Holy cow.
Well, which is great. It speaks to
Mhm.
what you just said.
Hmm.
We have stuff that we can look at now too. So,
Yeah,
Yep.
there's a big selection.
anyways, okay. I just wanted to make sure we took care of that piece of homework because I don't want somebody coming up. Hey, you guys said that by the end of the year. So I wanted to make sure we covered it. So
And here I was counting on your memory having long forgotten that.
no, 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 no.
Let me guess, they're like 6 Post-its?
Yeah, at
That's
least.
what I'm guessing.
I
Yeah,
think I've even
Post-its
given a
for
couple
all
to my mom, the
people.
queen of the post-its.
Nice. All right. Well, I kind of want to do my Who Won the Year while we've got everybody here, because my winner of Who Won the Year is Mr. MD New. Marvin, you have done so much to support other authors. You constantly help them promote their works in addition to promoting your own. You have put out some beautiful stories into this world, one which I was honored to narrate. You are my winner of the year.
Aw, that's so
And I'll
sweet.
second that. I mean, he has carried the torch forward for BACWA, which I
Mhm.
was part of back in the day. Now that I'm in Southern California, I'm not as involved as I was before, but it's wonderful to see that the torch is still going strong and they are now doing wonderful things together. And I am quite proud from afar. So I'll second
Oh,
that one.
you guys are so sweet. Thank you so much. You know, very much appreciated, but really not warranted or deserved. I think there's so many other people out there.
Well,
No, it
I
is
will
very
say,
deserved.
I
Your
will
work
say,
for the
oh, go
community
ahead.
is, yeah, I say it is very deserved. Your work for the community is exemplary.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well done. Well done. My Who Won the Year, I'm actually going to go with something that is fairly obvious, but I think it is no less warranted, and that is Volodymyr Zelensky, who
Mm,
came to the United States,
Yeah.
who risked not only his own life in coming here, but also that he was strong enough in belief that the country would still be there and Russians wouldn't move in while he was away. I mean, a lot of things could have happened.
Hmm.
He gave a great speech. He knew where to hit the Republicans. I thought he did a very good job of being very, very like Winston Churchill. And I thought it was very, very amazing that he chose the exact date that Winston Churchill had appeared before Congress during World War II. It was a brilliant stroke of marketing.
mhm,
And I think that, when war fatigue is starting to hit a lot of nations and a lot of people, it was needed, it was necessary. It also gave his people a boost. And I think the resiliency of the Ukrainian people cannot be underestimated, nor should it be forgotten. Their war is our war. Their fight for freedom is our fight. Ukraine and America's destinies are tied. They emulate one another. And I think that in this case, no better person is deserving. I understand why Time voted him and his people the Man of the Year award or the People of the Year award. I think it was well warranted. If anything, they remind us of why we hold these institutions and our way of life in such high regard. And I think it was a strong kick in the pants to remember that. So that's who won my year.
Marvin, do you want to? I know we didn't ask you to prepare anything.
Well, actually, because I was thinking about it, and I'm going to echo what Baz just said. Yeah, I mean, the person that comes to my mind is Zelensky. And not just for all the reasons that Baz Baz laid out. Got tongue tied, really.
It's
um,
3 letters.
I know, right? And yet I still mess them up 90%
And
of the
you're a writer of the words, all the good words.
Clearly not. But yeah, but not just because of what Baz said, but also because when you look at his journey, and I'm not saying that I know his journey by far at all, there'll be scholars who will study him for years and years. But you look at the fact that he went to clown school, he was a comedian, he is an actor, and now all of a sudden he is a president of a country that is basically fighting for its life against a foe that everybody assumed was just going to roll them over. And he's been able to maintain. I am hopeful that they will be able to continue. But yeah, that man impresses me probably more than he should, because I'm sure there's skeletons that are there somewhere. But I just really like the fact that, man, he has done something that no one thought possible. And he was able to not only rally his people, but rally a people that were kind of almost as fractured as we are politically. And he's done it. I mean, he's doing it. And his speech to our congressional leaders and our senators and all that were
And that he did it
just,
all in English.
yeah. Well, and like you said, I mean, he just nailed them. He nailed them all. I
Yeah.
mean, talk about shaming on a public forum.
Mm-hmm.
And I give credit to our president, President Biden, who I'm kind of, there's sometimes that he's just like, okay, dude, don't talk. But he handled himself very well, and he had just the right amount of gravitas mixed with some humor that just made it very reminiscent of something that you would have seen like when Churchill was here and during all those times. So yeah, Zelensky was just like, yay
Yeah,
for me.
you can definitely tell he's a devotee of Churchill. The man has
Oh yeah,
studied Churchill. He
yeah.
knows how to play this game.
Hmm.
So I will want to give an honorable mention just before we go. I want to give an honorable mention to Ryan Johnson, who just put out Glass Onion, Knives Out 2. A movie could not be more timely. And you have to remember he filmed this before all of this stuff broke, but it is a strong dissertation and breakdown of Elon Musk and all his bullshitness. And it just hit at the right time. And I just want to give kudos to that man as a writer for knowing exactly how to put these tech geniuses in their fucking camp. I mean, he just nails it. So if you've not watched Glass Onion, I highly recommend it. It is not the same exact formula. One of the things Ryan said is he's trying to emulate the Agatha Christie movies or the Agatha Christie novels, but in doing so, he's acknowledging that Agatha Christie kept chipping away at what made a mystery, and she kept breaking her own norms while doing it, and she had queer representation in them. So he's doing all of the things, and I just thought when I saw Glass Onion, and there's a couple of film essays that have already been done on it, and I couldn't agree more with what they said. It was exactly in line with what I've been saying about all these tech geniuses like Zuckerberg and Musk and the rest of them. They're not geniuses. They are opportunists. They are charlatans who stand on the shoulders of people who actually do the work. So definitely watch Glass Onion if you just want something as a feel good of like, yeah, you know what? I am right about feeling that way. So there we go. That's my honorable mention. Good on you, Ryan Johnson.
All right, Marvin, do you have a message for the world as we close out the year?
Message for the world. it's kind of like I always say, it's like we just need to be nice to each other and treat each other with compassion and dignity and respect. I know it is hard. I know people will work every last nerve you've got, but still just take it and just try and be a decent person. And that's really all we can do. It's like, just be decent and do your best and try not to hurt others.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think the mantra for next year is don't be an asshole. Just be nice. It doesn't cost you anything. It really
Right?
doesn't.
Yeah, that's just it. It costs nothing.
Yeah.
You have to put energy into being mean.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot easier. Trust me.
Yeah.
Just smile and just,
All
come
right,
on, people.
folks. We at Written on the Edge are your community. We are here for you. We want to introduce you to new media by queer content creators, and it gives us great pleasure to do so. So please stick with us next year. Like, subscribe, get the alerts, buy our merchandise, help us. Just recommend us to one other person who you think might like us. I know we're pretty broad in scope, but sometimes that's a good thing because it helps you discover things you didn't realize you were missing until you've seen it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So
Definitely.
for our disclaimers, our links to social media, our list of stations, or to sign up as a guest, go to www.ropepodcast.com. If you enjoy learning about new artists, please like and subscribe. Please follow MD New. You can bounce off his website, mdnew.com. That's NEU if you haven't seen it printed yet. All of his socials are there. He's super active on all of the social medias. He will reply to you if you ask him a question, but more specifically, buy his books. He is an amazing storyteller. So
Thank you.
do it for you, do it for him, do it for us. But most of all, keep your community close, be nice to people. As Baz said, don't be an asshole. As I said, it takes too much energy.
Exactly.
And have a very happy and safe and wonderful new year.
Bye-bye now.
Happy New Year.
Bye-bye. What part didn't you understand? The buh or the bye?
And we can cut there.
Oh, what's that? Closing time. The bums rush in melody, dear.